again, Broncos country.
Really excited to chop up some Broncos with y'all this week.
Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS.
Favorite time of the week. We're not for the Raiders, Chargers, or Chiefs. So grab your brews in your fantasy league. We got that blue and orange blood that you bleed. The most loyal fans there ever could be. We are that mile high Broncos country.
Orange Weekly. Fans, brews, and Broncos news. What's up, Broncos country, and welcome to this episode of Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS. My name's Kev Dan. I got Ayla and David here with me tonight. How y'all doing tonight?
Pretty good, Kev. We had a football game last week.
Was
I don't know. Yeah, no, and
Football's back.
And I'm checking Twitter to double verify this, but sources say we got another one this week.
Ooh.
We do?
Sources. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I better Google that.
I'm doing the research on this one, but I can use all the help I can get. So if somebody else has an independent source on that, let me know.
Yeah.
Well, if that happens, it's going to be exciting.
Second of the third preseason game.
There you go.
This is gonna. Oh man, I'm already hyped after the first one. You guys, like.
I think everybody here at Orange Weekly is ready. Like we did the preseason thing. That's nice, and now it's season time.
Time to go. Yeah, we've seen enough from the team. Let's get going in action here for sure.
Amen.
And that's kind of the best thing. That's kind of what we do. We need the actual football. Like I appreciate off season in its entirety of where it might go, but now we're going.
Yeah.
And that is why we're here. So
the reason for the season.
Anyway, okay, so we do have a lot of good things to talk about. Some things that maybe, I won't say concerned, but definitely areas that we need to improve on as well. And for everybody watching, welcome to the show. Hit that share button for us. Post your comments. Post your questions. What are some of your reactions to the game from this last weekend? Because that's really what we want to talk about right off the bat. So, I'll open it up with, so the game starts. It's the first play of the game. And Baron Browning just comes off the edge and makes a huge play, just right off the bat. And then from there on out, for the 3 quarters he was in the game, you just hear his name over and over and over again. And you just see him just disrupting the backfield, getting back there over and over and over again. I mean, if that doesn't excite me, and excite you all, I don't know what else would, because that guy was just flying.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just another piece in that depth at edge that could make or break this season for the team. You've got Randy Gregory coming off the PUP list just this week, but hasn't practiced yet. Supposed to be a big part of that defense.
Supposed to be ready.
Yep. But Bradley Chubb also looking healthy. But both of those guys, lots of concerns, lots of questions at the very least about whether they're going to be available all 16 games. So to have depth at that position, like Baron Browning, and like Nick Bonito too, I watched a couple of clips where they were just, it felt like they were racing to get to the quarterback a couple of times. He's got some really impressive speed moves. So that was really encouraging. I think we were all kind of questioning the move from inside linebacker to edge for Baron Browning, but he certainly seems to be validating the coaching staff so far.
Yeah.
Well, and but I don't even want to bring up injury, but just like in a game in general, like when Chubb's tired, we're going to need somebody to just like step up and make it happen. So, if that's our guy, he's scary enough to where we don't have to worry about that. That's absolutely incredible. And we've been missing it. Somebody called him like, mini Miller, mini Miller. We'll see about that. I mean, those are, big cleats
big
to
shoes.
fill.
Yeah. And I don't know if he'll ever have that speed to power ability that Von Miller had.
Did like the swap move and the spin that absolutely just kind of reminisced on what Von can do, and he's young and hungry, and that's exactly where we are at right now is young, hungry team.
He has ridiculous bend, and I love that. Like that's what that's where it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was
exciting. Kev, was the game incredible, Kev? Were you so pumped to be there?
Look, it was a preseason game,
but
the tailgating was awesome. The being around the people was awesome. The football was preseason football.
Somebody might have been on the news in Denver.
Yes. Team Visor was on ABC News. So.
Okay.
Dude, you held it down legit. I know. It's a Team Visor. You never wear a visor on the show, and you did it on the news. It's okay.
Well, you can't really see it because of the angle. You can't see it because of the angle.
But. Thankfully.
Plus, they can't fit a big D on a visor either.
Listen, I understand the need to try and go out there and build the Team Visor brand, considering the absolute walloping that you guys took last week on this very show, but
say walloping.
I will say walloping. I could say trouncing. I could say demolishing.
We know who went to college and who writes things for a living. Like
it was reminiscent
words.
To
he
me,
uses all the words.
It was like watching Super Bowl 48. It was like watching that first snap sail over Peyton Manning's head, and that it just set the tone for that.
Yeah.
Jerry.
And that was like.
And speaking of Team Puffball, here's Rob, Christopher, and Jerry right here to support me. So welcome, guys. Thanks for coming to the show tonight.
It's funny. As soon as I said that, they did all pile in.
I noticed that. Yeah.
It's like they heard. I don't know if you have like a call.
Well, there's a secret signal.
Team Puffball assemble, but
there's a secret signle. It's proprietary.
Signal. You can't hear it through your visor.
No, there would be no way for a visor wearing person to hear it. Yeah.
You all are ridiculous. Okay. Back to football. But yes, so was on the news. That was awesome. Got to push Orange Weekly as well as meet Orange Vader, who was a fantastic guy.
Cool.
If you ever see him at the stadium, make sure you say hi.
It was awesome. You did. Yeah. You were incredible, Kev. It was sick.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. No, it was a real good time.
It was good. Despite your choice of headgear, you were good.
I even told Jared, as soon as I realized this was happening for real, I was like, just so you know, I'm wearing a visor. I'm not telling anyone else.
That tracks. You guys have to stick together since you have so few followers. Anyway,
yes.
Let's get back to the ball.
So, yes. Getting back to the ball there, the next thing I wanted to kind of bring up was the backup quarterback, because that's all we saw, Josh Johnson did get the start for the first half, and then Brett Rippon came in for the second half there. So I don't know, from what you guys have read and from what you guys saw, what are some of your takeaways from that?
There's been a kind of a narrative, at least so far on Twitter in camp, that Brett Rippon has kind of been ripping it as far as the backup quarterback position. He the word was he was kind of outplaying Josh Johnson, but they had kept Johnson in that number 2 position. I think we kind of saw why on Saturday. I don't think that Josh Johnson was remarkably better than Brett Rippon, But as far as he made some throws. He scored, which Brett Rippon failed to do, even though they gave him a 4th down to try it. There's nothing to lose. It's a preseason game.
Game.
Yeah, but that's what you're trying to do in a preseason game is evaluate your players, evaluate the talent that you have. And while the backup quarterback position may not be envious for the Broncos, I don't know that Rippon showed what he's been showing in practice if the narrative was that he's ahead.
Well, and it, this is basically what it's coming down to is game time situations, because, you can be as good as you can be in practice, but if you can't show up in the actual game, it's meaningless.
Yeah,
actually. So, the poise, I think, might come because he's a little bit older, but he was a little bit cooler with it, and he let that show. And I'd be happy to have both of them. I mean, we're going to need a backup regardless, however it's going to pan out. But I wasn't completely disappointed just watching, the battle between 2 and 3 come out of the chutes. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. So
definitely wouldn't be surprised to see whoever gets cut end up on the practice squad, because
I don't think
either of them will be scooped up immediately by another team.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the biggest story there from the game was, yes, Josh Johnson got 2 scores. The one real good chance that Brett Rippon had was the guy was wide open. I mean, there's just no reason you don't make that catch, and it wasn't even a catchable ball.
Yeah,
it was like thrown way behind him and stuff. And so, when you're trying to, that's the thing, when you're coming down to like, okay, which guy is it? You keep hearing how even those 2 guys are.
Yeah.
Well, one guy got 2 touchdowns. One guy couldn't make a touchdown conversion within the 5.
Yeah.
On 2 or 3
4
downs
tries.
there.
Which is that's gonna be it.
Big
like
moment.
You have to make that one. Like there's a
especially because by the time Rippon was in, it was pretty much 4th stringers and
3rd and 4th
stuff.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Absolutely,
that's the way it goes. And Rob, you're right. It was Rippon who threw that deep ball out of the end zone, and that was a really good ball. Yes,
it was.
But it's like Kevin said. It's kind of stinks, but sometimes you do just look at the box score on a preseason game, especially, and that's somehow.
Well, even if you just looked at the numbers from that game, it was it looked Cowboy-ish just on numbers alone. It didn't even really make sense how the game ended up. Like it was, it was pretty evenly spread, which we were lucky to, score so much in the second quarter. But it's just still, when you're just looking at the numbers part of it, but watching them actually play, I think is what the coaches are doing, because we could analyze numbers all day and it seems,
right,
pretty one-sided, but then you watch them play and it was the first one, so like let it go.
Now we did hear today that it's very, very likely we won't see any of the starters in preseason. So it's they're going to have time to evaluate this battle further.
And this weekend will be a test. Playing the Bills is going to be going to be no joke. This will be a game.
Is it weird to say you kind of hope the Bills do play their starters because you want Von Miller to get a sack? Is that weird?
That is weird. I don't want that.
I know it's weird. If it was the regular season, I wouldn't say it. But if it's preseason, obviously I don't want him to like just demolish our quarterback. But if he gets a very gentle sack on one of them, I might.
Yes, because he always sacks gently.
That's true. But
please sit down.
Yeah, please just quietly.
Here you go.
Here you go. On the turf now. Now, this is a good question from Christopher about the wide receiver position, and I think that's kind of an important one to transition into.
Yeah, we should transition to this because this is fun.
And especially because we had the initial roster cuts today from 90 to 85, and we saw 2 Broncos receivers get cut, Travis Fulgham and now the other one is escaping my memory. But you had 2 receivers cut already. You've still got Seth Williams. You've still got Montrell Washington. You've still got Jalen Virgil. You've still got Brandon Johnson. And both Brandon Johnson and Montrell Washington and Jalen Virgil all played really well on Saturday.
Yeah, they did.
And
Kendall Hinton. Absolutely. Hall of Famer Kendall Hinton.
Talk about evolution of a player.
Yeah.
Because he's really he is like slow and steady evolving, doing what he needs to do. I guess he has good like camaraderie with Russell. They're vibing together. So we have unfortunately, it's my fault for Tim Patrick being gone because I announced him as my favorite receiver to a friend at a barbecue over the summer. We were talking football, and it's my fault, y'all. I'll take that.
It's fair.
That's okay. I'll forgive you.
No, I get it. I'm not going to put that on you, Ayla. You can put it on yourself, but I'm not.
No, I know. I just feel like it's just like when I'm so excited about somebody, I was really looking forward. But I'm even more excited now that we have options. Yeah. Because it looks like they're all kind of stepping up, and it sounds like I didn't get to see a lot of the practice, but they're all they're like taking each other up. It's like one of those races that you watched on the big screen of like who's gonna win this one. So that to me is inspiring, and it might be due to who we have throwing the ball to them.
It's probably not hurting.
Well, the Pat McAfee show, Pat was talking about if this is the impact that Russell Wilson has just being on the sideline. He's like, I cannot wait to see the impact this guy has on the field with this team.
Because it was the off season. It was bringing everybody together. It's inspiring these guys to want to be with the Broncos.
Yeah.
That's why they're all stepping up. And to have too many options isn't a bad thing. And, we need special teams help, which some of these receivers can sit as like a 6 and work that and then just be there just in case.
How good did Montrell Washington look returning kicks? Oh, that was awesome.
I don't know if you could tell from the TV, but from the moment he got the ball in his hand to being at top speed was, 0.6 seconds. Yeah, like he was just gone, and he was making cuts, like he was making good reads. Yeah, he wasn't just like taking it and running straight. I mean, he had great vision. So, man, for that to be his first NFL game out there, to have skill with that kid,
to have at least 4 options behind the guys that are already sitting there behind Sutton, Judy, and Hamler, to have those options going out there, that's incredible. We needed that.
And it's going to be one of the most important positions to watch in the next 2 preseason games too, because I think you've got obviously Sutton, Judy, Hamler, and Washington. I think are all locks to make the team. So there's your top 4. You're going to keep 6, 7, maybe 7's I think the max. So you've got Kendall Hinton, Brandon Johnson, Jalen Virgil, all competing there. It's
Williams
and Williams, and at least one of those guys isn't going to be on the team.
And that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and they're going to. I think whoever doesn't make it out of that group is going to be playing on Sundays a lot this season.
That's literally what we call like a quality problem.
Yeah. Like a good problem to have.
Yeah, too much talent in the receiver department, which is where we are going to be scoring points, which is what this game's all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's exciting.
It is. But talking about Montrell Washington, looking at the special teams in the bigger picture, talk about a team that just looks different than it has the past 6-7 years. These guys are flying down the field.
That was
there were no
definitely
special team
our
wonders.
Achilles heel, but besides quarterback, like those two things. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
What could you guys, or what have you read or seen from reactions in terms of how Hackett is done?
And obviously you can only tell so much from one preseason game, but there's two things that have stood out to me so far. Tim Jenkins, who you guys probably all watch on everything because he does such a good job, did a film breakdown of this first preseason game. And he talked about some of the concepts that we can expect from the Broncos this year schematically, how they started, very vanilla for the first two drives. And then after the first two drives where they couldn't get anything going, Hackett did throw in some more complex concepts, a lot of 12 personnel and 21 personnel, which means, either two tight ends or two running backs on the field. But they didn't use those formations to just run. They used them to take shots. And it was really, really interesting the way that he broke them down and how they were not only helpful to the quarterback, but how it really flowed through for the entire offense. So that was one thing. That was one thing that kind of stood out. The other thing was just clock management. And we talked about this a little bit before.
Which was a huge everybody.
It was every game.
I'm not like the perfect football watcher, but I'd be sitting there and like if I'm gonna call it, it's super obvious. And there were so many things, that with the clock management that were just like, come on.
Yeah, no, it was Vic Fangio every week, and I don't know if it was just the fact that he had that little faith in his quarterbacks to engineer end of half drive, but he just wouldn't call timeout. If it was under 2 minutes, no matter if it was 1:59 left and he was getting the ball back, he wouldn't call timeout.
Right.
And we saw Hackett do that at the end of the half with Josh Johnson in there, 1:41 left. He was about to get the ball back, and he called timeout. And it's not something that you should be praying for, but man, it's good to see after what we've had.
We started deep in that zone too. Like it wasn't like we started on the 45 or 50-yard line. Like we started with the mindset of, man, I hope we can get into field goal range, and that's going to require some chances.
And those big long field drives, that was something that we were missing. Getting so many fourth and outs. It was like, God, just keep marching down the field. So to see a drive that lasted longer than, getting some first down, that's exciting. His enthusiasm is what excites me because I feel like we've been lackluster. And, I'm kind of like a weird intuitive person that way, but like standing on the sidelines with your hands on your hips and not having
your head down
like that kind of not talking to the players, pacing the field. You don't need to be like super exaggerated with it, but you need to be passionate. You need to be there. So seeing and feeling his enthusiasm as a human being, he has more spark behind him than we've seen in a long time, which I think carries through your team.
You should have seen him celebrate when we were talking about that Brett Rippon play earlier. When the receiver caught that ball, he stuck his hands in the air, both of them at the same. Like it was palpable to see the energy with Hackett. And how much
way different than what we've seen. With the last couple of coaches, unmentionables. I don't even want to bring it up because it's not worth talking about, but it's like that's why you are the coach.
Yeah.
You are behind the quarterback. You two are the heartbeat of that team. Yeah. So like if you're lackluster, why would your team do better than you being unenthusiastic about anything? So for me, his passion that I've seen, even when he got called in and he's packing up and he's dropping F-bombs and just being a human being. I love that. I love it. It's just that to me says mountains, says Rocky Mountains about him. I dig it. I think he's into it. I think it's infectious.
And that's, it's one thing to have that energy with reporters, with when cameras are on you, that, and it's a completely different thing to translate that into a message that your players will buy into. But I think, and there was a piece by Peter King the other day that he went a little in depth on this. This coaching staff in general has really been empowering the players to kind of not only say what they feel comfortable doing, but then translate that onto the practice field and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, these coaches they'll not hesitate to say, that's not working. I get why you wanted to try it, but it's not working. But if it is working, they're going to let the players try it. And that empowerment, I think, is a really important part of Hackett's message.
And did you hear about him making them hug it out too?
Yeah.
That is great. We can fight about it, but you guys hug it out. That's cool. Like, it's kind of what I make my toddlers do. Like, you guys can fight, but y'all gonna hug it out and give a little kiss and move on.
I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
All right.
They're talking about hugging it out. I would love to give David a hug. And it's usually pretty awkward if I just do it randomly, right?
Well,
Because
it's
so much
not.
shorter than him,
That's
or-
what I was thinking too. Yeah, because
if there's a reason, reason to give David a hug.
Yeah.
Where it's better, right?
It's not so much because I mind a random hug. I just when you come in for a random hug specifically, it's like Ayla said, you're just kind of like around my midsection, and I'm like, all right, Kev, head pat.
Yeah, right.
But
wouldn't it be better if you knew why I was rushing in for a hug?
Announce it before you do
That's
it,
so
it's
it's then I'll
not
stoop.
so creepy.
I'll stoop and then I'll hug you back, and it won't be like a child hugging.
Yeah, then you guys can meet. You guys can meet in the middle at that point. Like,
absolutely.
So what if I'm like, David, I won money off of DraftKings playing Rainmakers. I need a hug. Is that a good way to?
It is a good way.
An outside hug.
Mm-hmm.
Right
Especially
there
since
you
bought me a hat earlier today, so I can't really be that upset about it.
I did.
Not Mr. Boggins. I'm actually tonight.
He bought
I'm
you
not
a
in.
hat?
I'm not. He did, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But for right now, to answer not Mr. Boggins' question, I'm cheating tonight because we haven't started the season yet. This is actually Jameson. So I will be getting some bourbon, some Breckenridge Broncos bourbon to start the season. It will be delicious. I'm actually heading to Breckenridge for Oktoberfest the last week of September, so I will definitely be picking up some spirits then. But for now, as I round into preseason form, JMO.
Well, you drink while I promo it up. So after, the reason I'm rushing to David for a hug is because I won money off of DraftKings, and I hope someday I can do that. Football fans, join the next generation of fantasy football with Rainmakers Football, their first ever NFT fantasy game from DraftKings. It's the only NFT fantasy game licensed by the NFLPA. Now, you can play all season for millions in prizes by building the ultimate NFT franchise. Right now, everyone can get their first full roster starter pack for free. Couple notes here. Playing Rainmakers is simple. You can buy, sell, bid, and win player card NFTs of the biggest names in the game through regular drops and auctions on DraftKings Marketplace. You can also craft lineups of athletes from your NFT collection and earn points for touchdowns, receptions, and more, just like you would in daily fantasy football. You can also build your NFT franchise and enter free Rainmakers football contests all season long to compete for millions in prizes. Here's what you need to do. The next generation of fantasy sports is here. Make sure you go download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now. Sign up with promo code TPPN. Click the Rainmakers tile and opt into your first card free. Plus, play for millions in prizes all football season while building the ultimate NFT fantasy franchise with Rainmakers Football. Again, that is promo code TPPN. Build, play, win only at DraftKings.
See, I think Ayla was trying to distract you that whole time by imitating.
That's why
your
I'm
ad
over
read,
here.
But you were over there. It was not working at all.
There's a reason.
I used to do that. I used to do that in history class, and I'd get kicked out of class for being a little brat.
You know. See, used to be I had it all on one screen, like the cameras and then the script, and now I've separated onto two different screens because I know you you people love me enough to mess with me while I'm trying to read the script.
It's true.
So
absolutely.
I'll have to go back later and watch so I can see what Ayla does.
Definitely. All right.
I was just doing your words. Well, I was just trying to say the words while you were doing it, Kev, just so you know.
Gotcha.
I mean, only halfway through, too, because.
Yes.
Now,
no biggie.
Cool.
No biggie.
Back to ball.
Yes.
What do you guys think about the defense? And Kev, you were watching, I think, the game more closely than any of us. But, what did you see? What do you think is exciting? Were there any causes of concern, or were there any players that really stood out to you? Besides Baron Browning, obviously.
Yeah, other than Baron Browning, that's the pretty obvious one there. Obviously, Griffith going down on the second play of the game.
Yeah, that stinks.
Definitely stinks. We can talk about that if we want. Because the Broncos just historically suck when it comes to covering tight ends and stuff.
See, but here's the thing, though. They don't. Is the thing.
Anything worse than first at covering tight ends and stuff is like terrible.
That's historically sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
my bar is up here. ILB bros. Our bar is up here.
And which the two things, the two concepts, they don't really go together anyway. Because not just the Broncos. Nobody really uses their inside linebackers to cover tight ends anymore. It's just it's not.
We could.
I guess you could have your defensive tackles out there covering the tight end if you wanted.
Why not throw a wide receiver out there?
I don't know that league rules allow that, but you're gonna have to ask Roger Goodell. Anyway, I just like you said, the Jonas Griffith injury that sucks, and we obviously saw the Broncos respond to that by signing Joe Schobert earlier this week. It sounds like Griffith should be back probably week 3. Yeah, at the latest. They haven't ruled him out for week 1. I would say it's probably a little bit of a stretch right now.
I wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to me that they signed Schobert so quickly after the injury when they have Alex Singleton, who started for the Eagles for like a few years. It tells me that maybe Singleton's roster spot is not as secure as he would like it to be.
Or if anything, provide some more competition for the rest of, there's still a lot of practice. There's still the 2 other games left. I mean, it may be a last second, position battle that pops up.
And it may be between the 2 of those guys. It depends on who shows more on special teams. If it comes down to, splitting hairs on that front.
Right.
Yeah.
But overall the defense was fantastic. I mean,
there you go. One thing I'll be go ahead.
For it.
One thing I'll be, because I didn't hear Damari Mathis's name in a good or bad way. And he's one of the corners that has really been showing out in practice. Really young guy, 4th round pick from this year's draft. Who again, everybody's been speaking volumes about him, and he's been really doing well in practices. So I'm hoping it translates to game tape. If he flashes at some point in the next couple of preseason games. That's all.
Right.
Yeah. One position group I think that did flash, the safeties. PJ Locke, I think, didn't he get an interception?
Yeah, he was a lone interception. Yeah.
That's right. And Caden Stearns, last year's draft pick, did his best Justin Simmons impression when he came all the way down from his free safety spot to make a run game tackle, at the line of scrimmage. It was really, really impressive the way he read that play. We've been talking about him since last season. It's good to see he's kind of coming back a little bit and showing it again, and showing why the Broncos felt comfortable. Both of their performances showed why the Broncos were comfortable cutting Jamar Johnson today. 5th round pick from last year.
Agreed.
Yeah.
No, those are names that I consistently heard throughout the game. Kept seeing the same numbers, the same names being called. Those guys were playing just lights out. They couldn't. The Cowboys couldn't get anything going at all. Not until the third, to late in the third or 4th quarter there when they finally got something. But we essentially, our defense just handled them. I mean, they broke up several good passes. Now, granted, the Cowboys also had over 120 yards in penalty yards.
Yeah.
So that, I mean,
didn't help them.
That didn't help them. I'll take that all day long, though, right? But just still in general, like our defense was just doing their job, holding them to very little few third down conversions. So it just kept them off the field, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good. That's what you like to hear. And it's it's another testament to the fact that, like we talked about it a little bit last week. The defense has continuity. They've got the same terminology. I don't think it's the exact same scheme, but with the same terminology, if the coach decides to change up the scheme, it just translates a lot easier because you're telling a guy go left, but you don't. The words go left in the scheme are still the same. When maybe he was going right. Instead of changing up the terminology for go left, at least he knows now, all right, I was going right last year. This year I'm going left, but I'm picking that up still. I don't have to think about it. I can just do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, look, and Ayla, what's your take on just the defense in general? I mean,
well, I think we're sitting, I think we're sitting kind of pretty with it, which I don't want to say too much out of the gun because we're not quite there yet, but having some different options compared to, I don't know, I felt like we've just been hanging by a string the last couple of years and between injuries. So hopefully, everybody stays healthy and but it's actually, and it's weird. It's lining up with all the D names. Like
yeah, I like it already. We're doing
literally our defense is all D names.
We've got DJ Jones, Draymond Jones. Oh man, yeah. It's
Deshaun Williams. It just got like all the D's coming with it. So like that to me, I might be intuitive that way, but it's fun and hopefully Chubb can stay healthy because that guy, when we get to have him out there, beast.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He can be phenomenal. And
he can be phenomenal. And so the thing that we've been worrying about quite some time, this defense, we might be getting back to that level of having the Broncos just shut everybody down this year.
Yeah.
Which will be incredible, which is what we were known for, the year that we won the Super Bowl. That was just it. And, it starts with the line and then it backs up from there, which, we haven't even dipped the stick to talk about that yet. So,
right.
Well, and that's, one of the most common narratives I hear when you listen to national football people talk about the Broncos and the transition. They're all very concerned. They're all clutching their pearls that Vic Fangio isn't here anymore and that the defense might be in line for some sort of major regression because they've never.
He never gave them super inspiration though. And, that was his expertise, but it still didn't even. He was so spread thin. I mean, it was like.
And I think it's just
couldn't even give it his all with that. So
right. Well, and I think he's just one of those coaches who's better coordinator than a head coach. But he was a really excellent defensive play caller. And I think that because these analysts have never heard of Ejiro Evero, they're thinking automatically that we're in line for some sort of big regression.
Right.
Everything I've seen so far leads me to believe that is not the case.
I don't think that's the case. Not what I've seen.
Right.
No, not what I've seen so far. Not what I've seen with, where we're at with the conditioning and we're seeming to have more depth than we have before instead of worrying about that.
And what I like is that Evero is not just bringing over the Rams system, which, schematically is already very similar to the Broncos system, but he's not just, for instance, they have Jalen Ramsey over there play the star position, which you put a lot of responsibilities on that cornerback. He plays inside, he plays outside, but we've heard that they're not going to have Pat Surtain necessarily in that role, which it just tells me that this coaching staff is really practicing what they preach as far as put your players in the best position to succeed.
Yeah.
Don't just try to make them fit your scheme. Do what they do best.
Right.
And with a player like Pat Surtain, who's incredibly talented and maybe an all-pro this year, that's the best strategy to take for sure. So it's another really encouraging sign from this coaching staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let them do what they're good at doing. That's what everybody should do. That's why I think Hinton's blossoming. He's just he's proving himself to have talent elsewhere, and just, to have the flexibility with that and not be so rigid of no, this is what you do. That will be what takes us to the next level, because if somebody needs to move to a different position, good, you should. If you're better at that one, move. Go do it and do the best job that you can.
Absolutely.
That is the best coaching that anybody could do. I wish some of my coaches would have done that and been maybe be better here.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about injuries, because we have had some good news and some bad news over the past couple of days. As far as that goes, the good news: Billy Turner and Randy Gregory coming off the physically unable to perform list, which means they are now eligible to practice. Like we said earlier, I doubt we'll see either of them in preseason. Maybe Billy Turner, just because Hackett did say today that the right tackle spot is still a competition. And Calvin Anderson was up and down.
He did not look good.
Yeah, the pass protection left something to be desired. And Billy Turner has a lot of experience in this system, coming over from Green Bay as he did, where he looked serviceable at worst and at best good as a right tackle. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I would not expect to see Randy Gregory in the preseason. Certainly, maybe on track for week 1.
I think that's what I was like. Well, it should be good to go before the season, but it kind of makes sense.
Yes, and to Andrew's point, you're right. From earlier, Andrew, we didn't get to this comment earlier, but you're right. It does look like several North Dakota State alums are going to be making the Denver Broncos. It remains to be seen if the most famous North Dakota State alum, Carson Wentz, is effective this season, but he's not a Bronco, so it's not really our problem.
Not a problem.
No. As far as other injuries go, we had Melvin Gordon, I believe, is working his way back in. He had a little bit of an injury, but it was reported the other day he's back in 11 on 11s. They're easing him back into team action. It does today. It sounds like Lloyd Cushenberry sat out practice today. He's day-to-day, so I would not expect him to be a question mark for the series opener at all. It sounds like he'll be good to go, but taking it easy with him right now. So kind of up and down injury news.
After what we've seen from these injuries just in this first game, and Griffith especially, I would expect to see almost no starters the rest of preseason.
Fine by me.
Yeah, fine by me.
But
I think if there was any plan to see any starters, especially Russell Wilson and Javonte Williams and stuff, even for a drive or two, no. I would not be surprised if they're just we'll figure that out week 1. If we lose week 1, good for Seattle. That's all they'll talk about all year.
We'll
recover.
Kev.
So
I mean, he's right. I don't think we're going to lose.
I'm just saying week 1 is weird. Weird things happen week 1.
That's
I'm not
true.
saying we're resigning to lose. I'm just saying look, week 1 is week 1. Anything can freaking happen.
Into fruition. Just stop it.
It's already there. It's already there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm
going to be there at the game, guys. So I'll be doing a commentary from wherever my seat is. I'm going to get the best seat ever.
You got to be real loud when Drew Lock is out there. You got to be so loud when Drew Lock is out there.
I know. I will. I've never lost my voice.
Jersey?
Oh man.
I don't have a Drew Lock jersey.
I'll get you a Seattle Drew Lock.
I have the original. The front is Elway and the back is Russell Wilson.
That's amazing. Oh, you gotta wear that. You gotta wear that.
I am, and my mom has the vice versa. We gonna represent, and people are be like, "What? These girls? That's cool."
Watch our socials for that one because we'll be exploiting the crap out of that one.
I mean, I had the first Russell Wilson Broncos jersey. Nobody can debate that. I mean, mine is 5 years old.
No, absolutely.
And I'll be there. And hell yeah, I'm gonna yell when Locke's out there or Gino or whoever they're gonna decide to play. Like, get out of here. I will scream my face off and not lose my voice because that's never happened in the 37 years that I've roamed the planet. Like,
right.
Yes. And I don't think Drew Lock's going to start. I don't think.
I don't know.
I think it's going to be Gino.
It won't matter because our defense is just going to eat them up.
Well, and that's
whoever
the thing.
it is, they're going to eat them up.
I want Drew Lock to start because I want Pat Surtain or Justin Simmons to pick him off so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it would feel so good. It would be cathartic for everyone in Broncos country, not just me. Yeah. It would just purge all of this bad energy, anything that's left. And I don't think there's a lot left. I think Hackett and Wilson have really kind of made it their own at this point.
Right.
But if there is any left, I think that would put and we're ready to move on now. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
It's gonna
You're on that side now. You're over here.
Yeah, we're over here doing us. Those Seahawks punted on their Hall of Fame quarterback, and so we're gonna take him, and you can do you.
You go
do you, Drew. And best of luck to Drew Lock. He's dealing with COVID right now. I know it's not fun for anybody. So
that's uncomfortable.
No, that's a bummer. So I'll get well soon, Drew, so that we can wish
being sick for a man is uncomfortable regardless.
Yes.
I need somebody to take care of me. And that's when I'm like not sick. Like when I'm healthy. No, when I'm healthy, I need somebody to take care of me. So thank you.
Men have more pain receptors in our brain.
This is true.
It's scientific fact that we feel more pain.
Okay. That's why women give birth. Now.
Exactly. You are genetically disposed to have less pain receptors in your brain, whereas guys do. So when we hurt more than a woman would. So
I'm going to step away from Kevin's psudoscience here. And
it's not pseudoscience. It's for real.
All right. Anyway.
Dr. Kev Dan.
Got him. I am going to go to Rob's comment here, which is true. We are no longer dead inside, Rob. We were up until March of this year, and it was comfortable. And it felt good. Yes. All right.
I've always been hyper optimistic.
That's true. All right. The mass.
I've always been hyper optimistic. I'm like my heart is a cheerleader for the Broncos, and she never gives up.
Let me rephrase. The members of Team Puffball were dead inside, and now we have life again. And I told you guys, you stayed with me. You stayed with me, and I told you there would be better times ahead, and here we are. Here we are. Yep.
Here we are at the start of a fresh season. Everybody likes a fresh start too. Like,
it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, preseason, I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
You have to. Right? 16 grains of salt.
Yeah, 16 grains of salt.
Kosher salt too, not those tiny table salt grains.
I hope it's flaky pink salt.
The big salty flaky salt flakes. You know what I'm talking about. Kevin knows. He knows. He's giving me that.
I know just why.
Why?
I know
because the iodized salt sucks, bro.
Come on, Kev. Be a salt nerd with us for just a minute.
Kev, come on.
For just a minute. You had all these takes on men's and women's brains a minute ago, but now the salt flakes.
Not a salt background. I'm not a sea saltman. I don't go dive down.
You know my actual initials are MD, right?
You got them.
Yeah.
Ayla MD. Like I am kind of a doctor too.
Basically a doctor.
I kind of am also a doctor.
Okay, now. Let's doctors.
Anyway, so we're taking it with a grain of salt, whatever salt y'all want. Kevin is obviously salt fighting us, and we're gonna let that go.
Oh, that really sweet salt.
Yeah,
it's really sweet. You can put it in coffee and tea. It looks just like salt. It's just really sweet.
You mean sugar?
Yeah, sweet salt. Smelling salts. So, did he quit on me?
I thought you cut him out because
I didn't. I did not cut him out. I think he is so embarrassed. Are you just so embarrassed that you left?
Yes. Yeah, I was very, very upset by what just happened. And
yeah, you just got your doctor title revoked.
Right. No, I have to.
Oh.
Like even my toddler knows the difference.
All right. Now we've got a bit of breaking news here that unfortunately is not great news. It's for the Broncos. Randy Gradishar has been passed over again by the Pro Football Hall of Fame Veterans Committee. And so at this point, Broncos country, I'm a nonviolent person. I believe very strongly that protests should be strenuous but nonviolent. However, in this particular case, I believe that more stringent measures are called for than a letter writing campaign. I'm not entirely sure what form that's going to take, but Randy Gradishar has had enough. This is absolutely absurd. And if he had been playing in the NFC or AFC East, he'd have been in the Hall of Fame 10 years ago.
Yep.
So,
the voting mechanism with the whole Hall of Fame thing still baffles me.
It's
just
absolutely
like it's kind of ridiculous. It just like reminds me of student council in high school, and it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It's
or prom committee or anything. It's just like you had to be in the crew instead of like seeing the real solid people.
Yeah, absolutely. So Randy, if you're listening,
that's actually really sad.
It's ridiculous. And Randy, if you're listening, if you're watching, we're going to be here for you next year and every single year until you get in, because
I'm going to write a letter.
There's going to be a strong letter.
I will send a Broncos bikini picture with my letter and spritz it with perfume. It might help. It worked for Elwood's getting into law school, so we'll see.
That is a strategy. And I am intrigued to see how it will pay off. We're going to expect frequent updates on the show as to the progress of that plan.
I'll get you the address that you should send.
David can help me pen the letter since he's so good with the words.
Oh, I got you. I'm gonna write the hell out of that.
I've got the perfume and the bikini and the adorable mom bod.
Oh yeah, we're gonna write the shit out of this letter, and next year Randy Gradishar will be in the Hall of Fame.
I love it.
Because of our letter.
That's right. And Justin, we love you. There's no apologies.
Man.
No apologies are necessary. And we're glad that you're here
Justin,
now.
We do love you.
We're all rounding into regular season form right now, Justin. We're making it work the best that we can. So thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all. I love everybody that tunes in. The comments make everything better. So
absolutely. Without you guys, there's no show. So
that's why we do it.
That's it.
I mean, these guys wouldn't want to talk to me if there weren't any fans watching as well. So
I mean, you come up and just kind of start hugging people without asking first.
I do. I just do that to you.
No,
you're right. No, you're not people, just me. But yeah, it's not great. It's not great.
I mean, I get in there good, like bear hugs, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind of a bear.
On that note,
Dr. Kip Bear.
Does Dr. Kip Bear have any final thoughts, ideas, questions?
No.
Concerns?
Yeah. So really quickly before we go around the horn, everybody's watching again. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We got a ton of content for you guys. So right now we're mostly just doing Tuesday shows at 7 p.m. Mountain Time through the rest of preseason, and then the week before regular season starts, we're going to start up with our full lineup of the post-game podcast, pre-game podcast, Monday night Orange Weekly After Dark, Tuesday night show, the pre-game show, the halftime show, all that stuff that we normally do. We'll be starting here real soon, so we're just kind of ramping up into it as well as the team gets ready. So stand by for that, and then tell your friends about it as well. I want to do a quick shout out to the flagman, Scott. if you're watching, appreciate you and your tailgate you put on every week at Mile High there. If any of you are ever
Lot C, y'all.
Lot C, you cannot miss it. Look for all the flags. It's really that easy. You don't even have to bring anything. He's a super generous guy. Just walk up.
But it's always nice to bring something.
Oh, yes, it's always nice to bring something, but don't feel like, oh, I don't have anything good enough. I don't want to go bug them. You know, they're super nice.
It's not, but they're so inclusive and amazing. I'm so glad you guys were, you know, that party, that tailgate. Those are good people. I mean, the whole thing. You could probably walk around anywhere, but that's the man. But Flag Man, he's so cool.
He's great.
That's the Orange Weekly tailgate now too. Like that's where Orange Weekly goes to tailgate, is going to see the Flag Man. So
absolutely, make
sure you guys check him out. I'll be there for all the home games as well. But yeah, I think let's go ahead and start closing this thing down. Justin, Rob, who else has been? Joey has been awesome. Mr. Boggins,
not
Chris,
Mr. Boggins. Let's
not
be very,
Mr.
very
Boggins.
clear. No, not Mr. Boggins.
Mr. Boggins.
But a very special shout out to all the members of Team Puffball who came out and represented tonight. Gary, Christopher, Rob, we love you all. We love you all.
Very special for everybody who doesn't want to be conformed to these groups, and your team wear whatever hat you want to wear. I love you all, and
now
I think it's cool.
Ayla,
I love it against my own crew and conform, because it depends on how hot it is and what hat I'm going to wear and what outfit that I'm wearing.
It's fair
I will wear whatever hat I feel like.
It's a fair point. Now, Kev, speaking of Team Puffball, Kev was nice. He was just showing you guys the hat that he bought for me today, knowing my proclivities. So, you know, there may be some room for a thaw between Team Puffball and Team Visor. There may be a rapprochement coming.
You don't have a hat.
You're your team every hat. You don't get a special hat when you wear every hat. That's the burden that you accept when you decide to wear every hat.
You just find the most adorable hat and buy it for me.
But it's so subjective.
Are there hostilities? There's no hostilities between Team Visor and Team Any Hat.
Indeed. Somebody has to make the first move in a peace overture here, and that's a big move.
You guys are a little bit hostile towards each other. So.
Are we? Yeah.
Are we? Are you sure? Are you really? Are you sure about that?
Are we?
Really?
I mean, just on screen, not behind closed doors.
Well, no, behind closed doors, we can't stop hugging, as we've gone over multiple times.
No, he can't stop hugging you.
I mean, I like it. Like, are we just going to stand here?
Yeah. Everybody likes a good waist hug.
Who doesn't? It's nice. It's intimate in a way that a regular hug isn't. Yes. Now, rolling into our final thoughts.
Okay, so final thoughts. Can I bring up that I'm a little bit sad about the Borhe let go?
Yeah. That's a bummer. Colorado native.
Because I've seen him play. Number one, I watched him at Wazoo, and they beat USC. It was a great game. Everybody charged the field. Guy has McCaffrey feel to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little bit sad because that was like the thing that was lackluster with the game was the rushing.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit sad that, you know, he to me, maybe I'm biased because I got to actually see him play. I'm a little bit sad about that. Yeah. Everything else I'm pretty happy with. It looks good to go, you know.
Totally understandable.
But I'm a little bit sad about that he got cut.
Yeah. Everybody thought there was the potential there for another Philip Lindsay with the Colorado native, the small.
He's way bigger than Lindsay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a fair point. But yeah, he was one of the roster cuts today. Late pickup too. I think he came in.
He just got picked up in like a couple of weeks ago. I mean, And
last one in, first one out kind of scenario. Unfortunately,
that was kind of my only just like Ayla heartfelt silly things because.
No, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we might regret it. He's a hell of a player. And
I mean,
we might need somebody right there.
Yeah, I don't mean to disrespect Max Borey's accomplishments or talent, but it also feels like it's not the kind of scenario where he's going to be picked up right away. So if we do end up needing him,
he might still be there.
He's probably going to be there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
And maybe we won't need him. Maybe everybody else will just stay healthy and, do
it won't be a problem.
Part.
No,
So.
absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
That's my final thought.
Good enough.
Okay.
Good enough.
David, what you got, man?
I am at this point just trying to temper my own expectations.
That's fair.
I've gone from dead inside
Yes.
to like, oh, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's not really cautiously anymore. It's just like, whoa. So I have to pull myself back a little bit. But
reel it in.
Yeah,
Reel it in, bro.
The signs are just really, really encouraging. In one area specifically that I thought might be a big question mark and a problematic question mark, which was the edge depth. It's just with Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory listed as your number one and number two, like what can you really expect how much actual game time can you expect from those guys throughout a whole season worth of games? But just from what Nick Bonito and Baron Browning have shown so far, I'm just really encouraged. They're going to be able to rotate guys. They're going to be able to put all of those guys on the field at the same time if they want to in a NASCAR style package. Like if you put those four guys on the field at once with Draymond Jones on 3rd and long, like get out. And you'll have to get out because your quarterback might be dead after that.
Right.
They're gonna
So
send it.
Yeah, it's gonna be sent, as the kids would say.
Sent.
Yes, they're gonna put a stamp on it, pay the proper postage, and send it. So that's what I'm less than cautiously optimistic. I'm just full on optimistic at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
they reeled me in, and I'm ready to get hurt again.
That's okay. I'm always ready to get hurt.
Let's just, I'm the same way. Let's temper expectations. There's a lot of growth that needs to happen, especially on the offensive side of the ball still. And you're going to see that, whether that results in maybe we drop a game we shouldn't. Okay. We'll see. But once these guys get this system figured out,
not the
this
first
team
one
is going to be. Well, I'm just saying, whatever happens, once these guys get this figured out, man, this team is going to look good. The energy is there. The level of commitment and the understanding of what the expectation is, which is to win at the highest level, is definitely there. We got ownership back in the building. It was definitely positive to see that they were not only on the field for their introduction, but they were there to greet the team as they were going back in the tunnel after the game. They're already right off the bat saying the right message. We'll see if they keep that up, or if that was just a first game kind of a thing. But it's good initial first steps, right? So the way this team's heading is where it's giving me faith that we're out of the.
Are you trying to say that you're optimistic?
I'm trying to temper my expectations, but I'm feeling optimistic. It's a feeling that's starting to develop. But I am myself not optimistic yet. We will see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So, okay, everyone. Normally we do our backstage after this, but we're not going to do that this week. Again, just because of preseason and stuff, we have some other stuff going on. So we're going to go ahead and skip that. We might do one next week. But again, once the regular season starts, we will do the
let's see what happens with it. Like, there's the other thing. Let's see what happens with Bill's preseason.
Yep.
This could be, more momentum. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's cautiously optimistic.
Preseason's preseason, but man, it feels good to win. And those guys, it still feels good to win,
Yeah.
So
at least we were safe from hearing them boys.
Man,
Cowgirls.
There was nothing that felt so good as just reading the Twitter reports that the Broncos demolished the Cowboys in the joint practice last week.
Staying a Bronco, ride a cowgirl.
There you go.
I love it.
There you go.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on to the Bills. Saturday, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. We will be live for the halftime show. You guys can check us out for that. Otherwise, thanks for joining. Regular season is less than a month away, and
I'll be at season opener, y'all. We're gonna have some fun in Seattle.
I love it.
Cool.
Well, I think there's nothing else to say other than very strong. Go
Broncos.
Take care, everyone.
There's nothing in here.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone.